Muhammad Ali was an American professional boxer. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Today, even those who haven't seen a single boxing match know this phrase. In the ring, Ali was not only faster than his opponents, he would dance, subtly change directions, and deal sharp and strong blows, anticipating the actions of his opponents. Muhammad Ali, the life story of the world boxing legend. Muhammad Ali was born on January 17, 1942 in the small town of Louisville, Kentucky. At birth, he was named Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. in honor of his father, who in turn received the name of a white planter and politician who fought to abolish slavery. The maternal great-grandfather of the future People's Champ arrived in the United States from Ireland and was legally married to a freed slave. Cassius's mother was very proud of these roots, but Cassius believed that the white blood made him weaker. The boy's parents were representatives of the black middle class. His father painted advertising signs and posters, and his mother, Odessa Grady, cleaned and cooked in the houses of wealthy white families. Saving up $4,500, they bought a one-story cottage in a good area for African Americans. Later, it was converted into a museum. The hometown of the legendary athlete also houses a large Muhammad Ali Center. Even as a child, Cassius was strong. Once at the age of 2, he waved his hands and knocked out his mother's tooth. Cassius grew up facing racial inequality, which greatly influenced his personality. Later, he recalled that before falling asleep, he would cry because he didn't understand why blacks were considered second-class people in society, and would ask his mother if blacks could go to heaven, because in all the images, the angels were white. When he was 12 years old, he left his Christmas present, a bicycle, on the street, and it was stolen. After reporting the theft to a police officer, Cassius said that he was going to whoop the thief. The officer told Clay he had better learn how to box first. So the boy got into a boxing gym with his younger brother Rudolph, who later changed his name to Rahman Ali. 6 weeks after his first visit to the gym, Cassius made his amateur boxing debut on the television show Future Champions, which he won by split decision. Clay was serious about training. Every day he worked on his boxing technique, and instead of traveling by bus, he would get to school by jogging. Success was not long in coming. In 1956, Cassius took part in his first ever major boxing competition, Golden Gloves, and he immediately won the tournament. In 1960, Cassius graduated from Central High School in Louisville, receiving only a certificate of attendance, not a diploma. Clay's academic performance was largely affected by undiagnosed dyslexia, which led to reading and writing difficulties for most of his life. In the same year, the young boxer won the Amateur Athletic Union tournament and received a ticket to the Summer Olympics in Rome. At the Games, the 18-year-old boxer was the youngest among the heavyweights, but managed to win the tournament. This success might not have happened because after learning that he could only get to Italy by plane, Clay refused, and the coach barely managed to persuade him. According to legend, after becoming an Olympic champion, the boxer threw his gold medal into a river because he was refused service in a whites-only restaurant. But in reality, he simply lost the medal and received a replacement in 1996 during the opening of the Olympics in Atlanta. After the Olympics, Cassius Clay turned pro with 100 wins in 108 amateur fights. The young boxer was looking for a manager and decided to turn to his idol, Sugar Ray Robinson. However, he was rebuffed, and after the incident, Cassius vowed to himself that he would never alienate his fans. Cassius Clay fought his first fight as a professional on October 29, 1960, against Tony Hunsaker. After 6 rounds, Clay was declared the winner by decision, and Hunsaker said that that day he fought with the future champion. In 1963, Clay was named Boxer of the Year. He didn't lose a single fight. Cassius went on to receive this title 4 more times in the 70s. The boxer enjoyed offending his opponents to anger and pissing them off. He even wrote poems that made fun of his opponents and praised himself. In 1963, the 20-year-old boxer set them to music and released the album The Greatest, which also included several vocal tracks. In 1964, a fight for the title of World Heavyweight Champion boxer took place. Clay's rival was the American Sonny Liston. Cassius started bullying and taunting him with various means of psychological pressure right after the official announcement of the fight. He tried to humiliate the opponent in every interview and shouted threats at the weigh-in, for which he was subsequently fined. In the fourth round, Clay began to experience a sharp pain in his eyes, but nevertheless continued the fight, and in the interval between the 6th and 7th rounds, Liston refused to continue the fight, citing a shoulder injury. For the victory, Clay earned $630,000, and many years later, his champion gloves were sold at an auction for $836.5 thousand. After the victory, Cassius announced his conversion to Islam and joined the Nation of Islam. Inspired by Malcolm X, he officially changed his name to Cassius X and then to Muhammad Ali. At first, reporters ignored his new name, but today, all over the world, it is Muhammad Ali that he is known by. Over time, the boxer left the Nation of Islam and turned to traditional Sunni Islam, which he followed until the end of his life. In the same year, the boxer married the waitress Sonji Roy, but a month later the marriage broke up due to his wife's unwillingness to convert to Islam and because of her immodest behavior. The boxer fought his first fight under the name Muhammad Ali in 1965, again against Sonny Liston, and knocked out his opponent in less than 2 minutes after the start of the fight. After a short break, during which he visited several countries, Ali returned to the ring to defeat his childhood idol Floyd Patterson. According to a well-thought-out plan, only in the 12th round did Muhammad begin to box at full strength, and after several accurate punches, the referee stopped the fight. Ali went on to continue his winning streak in 1966 and fought 2 successful battles in 1967, but then in April he was drafted to serve in the U.S. Army in Vietnam. However, his religious beliefs prevented him from going to war. Although the government offered the athlete a deal, and promised that he would not even have to carry a pistol, Ali could not afford to be used to attract recruits. For refusing to serve, Muhammad Ali was sentenced to 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine, as well as stripped of all his titles. Ali didn't give up. He appealed and then went to the U.S. Supreme Court. A few months later, Ali spent 10 days in Florida State Prison for driving with the wrong license. On August 17, 1967, the athlete married a second time to Belinda Boyd, who after the wedding converted to Islam and became Khalila Ali. In this marriage, 4 children were born: 3 daughters, Mariam, twins Jamila and Rashida, and son Muhammad Ali Jr. Muhammad was not a faithful husband. In the 5th year of family life, his illegitimate daughter Mia was born, and 2 years later, his daughter Khalila. He married the mother of the latter in an Islamic ceremony, but the marriage was not officially recognized. At the time of excommunication from boxing, Ali had earned more than $3 million, but most of this money went to the maintenance of his entourage. Ali invested about $100,000 in a pension fund, and on the advice of the Nation of Islam, he invested in small Muslim companies. At this difficult moment, someone who would later become his main opponent came to his aid. American boxer Joe Frazier sympathized with Ali, offered his help, and according to eyewitnesses, gave him money. During the forced break, many universities in the country began to invite Muhammad to lecture. At these speeches, Ali was surprised to learn that he was an idol for young people who shared his views on the Vietnam War. This made a huge impression on Ali, who, even being absolutely sure of the racial division of the country, began to admit that someday this social problem could be overcome. In 1970, Ali starred in the documentary AKA Cassius Clay for $7,000 and sold the rights to use his name to advertise hamburgers for $900,000. In the same year, in the state of Georgia, where there was no sports commission, the administration of the city of Atlanta sanctioned a fight with Muhammad Ali in which the boxer won. A month and a half later, Ali entered the ring again. The day before, the U.S. Federal Court ruled that the State Athletic Commission did not have the right to revoke the boxer's license during the pending appeal, allowing him to compete in New York. Muhammad seized the opportunity to win the vacant North American Boxing Federation world title by knocking out Argentine boxer Oscar Bonavena in the 15th round. The next fight against Joe Frazier at Madison Square Garden went down in history as the Battle of the Century and became the most anticipated event in the world of boxing in several decades. Before the fight, Muhammad tried to hurt Frazier's feelings as painfully as possible, calling him a freak, a gorilla, and Uncle Tom. This is a black man who is ready to indulge white people in everything, a symbol of racial betrayal. Frazier won by unanimous decision and inflicted Ali's first defeat in his professional career. Each of the boxers received $2.5 million for the fight. The gloves that Ali used to box were later sold at an auction for $606,000. On June 28, 1971, the U.S. Supreme Court acquitted Ali, concluding that the Kentucky Draft Board didn't take into account Muhammad's religious beliefs. Thus, the boxer was restored all of his rights. He could again travel outside the United States and conduct fights anywhere in the world. In 1971, Muhammad took part in 3 more fights and in 6 more in 1972, winning them all. In one of them, Ali fought Floyd Patterson for the second time. The fight was stopped after a cut near Patterson's eye opened up. After a successful fight in February 1973, Muhammad Ali fought Ken Norton, who at that time had not yet had any significant fights. In the second round, Ken broke Ali's jaw with an accurate blow, but the fight continued. After 12 rounds, Ali lost by split decision. The doctor who operated on Muhammad's jaw after the fight said he couldn't understand how the boxer had managed to continue the fight. In September, Ali had a rematch with Norton. In a tough 12-round duel, Muhammad won by split decision. In January 1974, the second fight against Frazier took place, on the eve of which the boxers clashed with each other during an interview on the ABC channel. Ali learned from the previous fight, and in the ring he dominated for 12 rounds, winning by unanimous decision. His next fight was against George Foreman for the WBC and WBA world title. This fight took place on October 30, 1974, in the city of Kinshasa, Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of Congo, and was named the Rumble in the Jungle. Because of the heat and high humidity, both boxers were already exhausted in the first rounds. And by the 8th round, George had lost his last bit of strength, and Ali knocked him out. The fight was recognized as the Fight of the Year by the magazine Ring, and it's also called one of the greatest boxing matches of the 20th century. The boxer's fee was over $5 million. In the same year, Ali was awarded the title of Sports Personality of the Century by Sports Illustrated magazine. In the spring of 1975, Ali fought 2 fights and won both by TKO. At his next fight with Joe Bugner, in the front row next to Muhammad's wife was his lover Veronica Porche, who was introduced to journalists as the family's nanny. On the eve of the next fight with Joe Frazier on October 1st, at a meeting with the president of the Philippines, Ali introduced Veronica as his wife, although he had still been married to Belinda. This was published in Newsweek magazine. Belinda, who had read the report in the United States, became very angry and flew to Manila. Arriving at the Hilton Hotel, Belinda, a black belt in karate, immediately went to her husband's room. As soon as the door swung open, she attacked Ali, scratching his face. Having destroyed Muhammad's hotel room, Belinda drove back to the airport and flew back to America. The fight that went down in boxing history as the Thrilla in Manila set a record for paid streaming sales of $100 million, with revenues of $500 million. The prize fund of the fight was $14 million, 9 of which went to Muhammad Ali. It was one of the best fights in the history of boxing. The advantage passed from one boxer to the other, but after the 14th round, it was stopped as a hematoma completely covered Frazier's left eye. After the fight ended, both fighters were exhausted, and Ali called Frazier the best fighter after him and said that he had greatly underestimated Joe. Subsequently, Ali more than once publicly apologized to Frazier for all the insults against him, but personal reconciliation never happened. In 1975, Ali's autobiography, The Greatest, My Own Story, was published, and in 1977, the film The Greatest was made, based on the book, in which Muhammad played himself. In 1976, Ali successfully defended his boxing titles 4 times, and in June there was a fight with wrestler Antonio Inoki, the fee for which was $6 million. The fight ended in a draw after 15 rounds. The martial arts fans waited for the fight with anticipation, but were disappointed by the results, and many reputable publications called this fight the worst and the most unremarkable in Ali's career. In the same year, Muhammad and Veronica Porche had a daughter, Hannah, which became the official reason for the boxer's divorce from his second wife. After Porche became the official wife of Muhammad Ali in 1977, she bore him another child, daughter Layla, who, like her father, went on to devote her life to boxing and even became the absolute world champion in women's boxing. In 1977, Ali had 2 fights which ended in not-so-spectacular victories for him. In February 1978, Ali fought Olympic champion Leon Spinks. Muhammad considered himself the absolute favorite, but by the last round, the fight was equal, with a slight advantage to Spinks, who was given the victory. In June, the boxer arrived in the USSR. He visited Uzbekistan and held 3 exhibition fights in Moscow against the legendary Soviet heavyweights Yevgeny Gortskov, Igor Vysotsky, and Petr Zayev. The matches took place without referees, no protocols were kept, but Ali himself summed up the results of the battles. He lost to Zayev, had a draw with Gortskov, and won against Vysotsky. After returning from the Soviet Union, Ali praised the Soviet system and assured American journalists that this was one of the best countries he had ever visited. But already in 1979, the boxer's opinion changed when the USSR sent troops to Afghanistan. Exactly 6 months later, Ali again fought Spinks in the presence of 65,000 spectators and began to outfight his opponent because of his experience. The fight lasted all 15 rounds, and Muhammad won the world title for the 3rd time. For 2 years, Ali didn't enter the ring. During his career, he earned about $50 million, but only a small part was invested in business. The rest went to Muhammad's entourage. Due to a lack of money, in 1980, Muhammad was forced to enter the ring against the reigning champion Larry Holmes. Holmes dominated throughout the fight and confidently won every round, but as many believed, didn't seek to knock Ali out, as he was afraid of causing him serious injury. But in round 10, Ali refused to continue the fight for the first time in his career. Muhammad received about $8 million for this fight, which he invested in business and real estate. In 1981, the boxer again entered the ring, despite his already deteriorating health, against Trevor Berbick. Muhammad looked much better than in the previous meeting, but still lost by unanimous decision. This was the last fight in Ali's professional career, which lasted over 20 years. During this time, the athlete fought 61 fights, scoring 56 victories and knocking out his opponent in 37 of them. In 1982, Muhammad Ali sued his promoter Don King for non-payment of $1.1 million for his fight with Larry Holmes. King sent Ali's old friend to the hospital where the boxer was at the time with $50,000, and Muhammad dropped all claims. In 1984, the former boxer was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which caused Muhammad to experience coordination and breathing problems. Ali took this diagnosis as a reminder that the number one in this world is God, not him. After that, as well as a number of boxer deaths in the ring in the United States, a campaign began to ban professional boxing. But Ali opposed the ban, explaining that boxing is one of the main opportunities for an African American to succeed in life. In 1986, Muhammad Ali divorced Veronica Porche and married Yolanda Lonnie Williams. They didn't have children, but they went on to adopt a boy named Asad Amin. Together with Lonnie, Ali started the Muhammad Ali Parkinson Center and several educational projects. In 1987, Ali was inducted into the American Boxing Hall of Fame and 3 years later into the International. After finishing his sports career, Ali devoted his life to charity. During the ceremony dedicated to his career's end, he was presented with a commemorative diamond ring which Ali presented to a disabled girl on the same evening. He helped those in need, called on wealthy Americans to follow his example, and participated in negotiations with radical Islamists in Lebanon and Iraq. On July 19, 1996, Muhammad Ali, already having difficulty speaking due to Parkinson's disease, lit a fire at the Summer Olympics in Atlanta, which was one of the most emotional moments in the history of sports. In 1998, Ali became a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador and visited many countries in Africa and Asia during the following 10 years. In 2002, he received his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but asked to be honored on the wall of Kodak Theater, where the Oscars are held annually. Ali didn't want the name of Prophet Muhammad to be trampled by passers-by. On June 2, 2016, Muhammad Ali was hospitalized in one of the Phoenix clinics in serious condition due to breathing problems, and the next day, the legendary boxer died at the age of 75. The funeral took place on June 10th and 11th, 2016 in his hometown of Louisville. The fortune of Muhammad Ali was estimated from $50 to $80 million. It is known that he left a legacy of $12 million to his wife and $6 million to each of his 9 children. In 2006, the boxer sold the rights to his name and image for $50 million, retaining a 20% stake, which earned him $7 million every year. Over the years, the athlete collaborated with brands such as Adidas, Gillette, IBM, Apple, Pizza Hut, Pepsi, Louis Vuitton, Toyota, and Porsche. He also appeared in advertising for Bird's Eye Burgers and Wheaties cereal, becoming the first boxer to appear on a box of Breakfast for Champions. And in 2014, he starred in a video for a nonprofit organization where he talked about the role of water for human health. After the boxer's death, the company representing his interests filed a lawsuit for $30 million against Fox for showing ads before the Super Bowl, where, without their permission, archive footage with Ali was used. In 2006, Ali and his wife moved to Arizona to a city called Paradise Valley, where the athlete lived until his death. In the last years of his life, Muhammad also owned a mansion of approximately 2,837 square feet in Louisville, which was used as a summer home, and which Muhammad's widow sold for $1.75 million. During his second marriage, Ali lived in Chicago for a while, and in 1971 moved with his family to Cherry Hill, New Jersey, in a Tuscan-style house. It is said that when Ali lived there, he would open the door to all fans and sign autographs. In 1975, Muhammad Ali acquired a cozy farm on a large area in Berrien Springs, Michigan, worth about $400,000. According to Ali's project, several new buildings were erected there in addition to the main house with 4 bedrooms. The additional buildings contained a gym with a boxing ring and exercise equipment, a massage room, a spa, a basketball court, an office center, and 2 separate garages with climate control. After the death of Muhammad, this house was purchased for $2.5 million by a Turkish foundation, which plans to open an educational camp and a museum dedicated to the boxer. Muhammad lived with his third wife, Veronica, in Hancock Park in downtown Los Angeles. This 4,430 square foot, 7-bedroom Italian Renaissance mansion features chic furnishings, antique chairs, and original fireplaces. It is reported that in one of the rooms with panoramic windows and skylights, Ali's wife kept exotic birds. Muhammad Ali's garage was occupied by such cars as Cadillac Eldorado, Lincoln Rolls-Royce Silver Convertible 1970, and Alfa Romeo Spider Veloci Series 2. In addition, in the early 80s, a sheikh from the United Arab Emirates presented the boxer with a Mercedes Ponton 220 covered with gold and precious stones on the outside and inside. At the height of his fame in the 1970s, Muhammad Ali was, according to several sources, the most famous and popular person on earth. Even after his death, he still lives in the hearts of millions of people whom he inspired and for whom he became a symbol of hope and struggle. Do you think Muhammad Ali is rightfully considered the greatest boxer? If you like the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything interesting.